Okay, so we're all pretty used to AI that can talk, create art, and even reason with us. But can it connect with us on the most human level of all, our feelings? That is the big, fascinating, and super complex question we're diving into.
I know. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But what if I told you an AI could actually be more emotionally intelligent than you? And we're not just talking about it beating you at chess. We're talking about it understanding tricky emotional situations, maybe even better than a person can.
And look, this isn't just some wild hypothetical. A recent study actually put this to the test, and the results, well, they were staggering. On standard emotional intelligence tests, generative AI scored an 82%, and the average score for humans, just 56%. That's a huge gap.
So, this whole mind blowing capability has a name. It's called effective computing. And it's basically the science of giving machines emotional intelligence. The potential applications here are just massive. I mean, think about cars that can detect road rage, or healthcare robots that can better understand and care for patients. Okay, section one, cracking the emotion code. So, how on earth does a machine even begin to read our feelings? How does it translate something like a frown or a smile into data it can actually understand?
Well, a lot of this technology is built on a theory from way back in the 1960s. The idea was that there are a few basic universal emotions like anger, happiness, sadness, and that they have universal facial expressions. The thinking was if we can just categorize and code these expressions, we can train an AI to spot them.
On to section two, a crack in the code. But what if that whole foundational code is flawed? What happens when the very science this incredible technology is built on gets called into question? Yeah, that's exactly what's happening now. Leading experts are basically sounding the alarm, warning that this whole idea of universal expressions is just outdated science. There's a ton of evidence now that shows a huge range in how people express emotion across different cultures and even within them. And this right here illustrates the problem perfectly. Think about a scowl. An AI sees that and just logs anger. But people only scowl about 30% of the time they're actually angry. They also scowl when they're concentrating really hard, thinking about something, or, experiencing indigestion. Context is absolutely everything.
Okay, section three, bias in the machine. And this is where it gets really serious. Because when the code is wrong and the data you use to train it is skewed, you don't just get an inaccurate system. You get a discriminatory one.
Now, I want you to just take a look at this number for a second. 34.7%. This number represents a truly staggering failure. Here's what that is. It's the error rate for this AI when it's analyzing the faces of darker-skinned women. Now compare that to the error rate for light-skinned men, which is just 0.8%. This isn't a small glitch, folks. It's a fundamental flaw that can lead to really unfair outcomes in hiring, security, even in healthcare.
So this brings us to a much deeper, kind of a more philosophical question. Let's head into section four. Is anybody home? Beyond all the issues with accuracy and bias, is there anyone actually home? Is there any genuine experience behind the AI's calculations?
I mean, really think about it. Even if an AI were 100% accurate at identifying your emotions, would it actually feel anything? Does recognizing the patterns of sadness mean an AI is experiencing sadness? Or is it just a sophisticated mimic, perfectly mirroring us without any internal experience at all? Philosophers have a term for this, qualia. It's that subjective, personal quality of an experience. It's the personal feeling of the redness of a sunset or the sweetness of chocolate. An AI can process the data to identify a sunset, but it can't feel the awe of watching one. That's the part that's human, and it just can't be boiled down into data. There's a famous thought experiment called the Chinese room argument that makes this crystal clear. Imagine someone in a room who doesn't speak a word of Chinese. They get Chinese symbols passed to them, and they have a giant rule book in English that tells them exactly which symbols to send back out. To anyone on the outside, it looks like the room understands Chinese perfectly. But does the person inside understand a thing? Nope, not a word. That's the AI. It's just flawlessly manipulating symbols with zero real comprehension. This gets to what's known as the hard problem of consciousness. It's not about what the brain does, but why we have a subjective experience in the first place. It's a barrier that AI, which is really just pure calculation, might never be able to cross. So, if AI can't truly understand emotion and the tech we have is flawed and biased, what's the path forward? Let's check out our last section, Section 5, the Human AI Hybrid. Well, it's not a dead end. Turns out AI is great at analyzing emotional data on a massive scale. That's its strength. But it really struggles with the complexity and subtlety that we humans navigate with ease. You know, the mixed emotions, the nuance. It's great with the big picture, but it totally misses the details.
And this really suggests that the future isn't about replacing human emotional intelligence, but augmenting it. The most promising path seems to be a hybrid model, where we combine AI's incredible data processing power with our uniquely human capacity for empathy and interpretation.
So, what's the bottom line here? What are the key takeaways? First, AI processes emotional data. It doesn't feel emotion. Big difference. Second, its scientific foundations are pretty shaky, and that can lead to biased and unreliable systems. And finally, the most promising future is a human-AI partnership, where AI is a tool to assist, not replace our own emotional intelligence. Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. As these emotionally intelligent, yet totally unfeeling systems become our companions, our assistants, maybe even our therapists, how are we going to navigate a world where a machine can perfectly reflect our deepest feelings without having any of its own?